Well, welcome to St Michael's Advent Reflections. This is the video for the 4th of December, and the reading today is Genesis 22:15 to 18. And the angel of the Lord called to Abraham a second time from heaven and said, "By myself I have sworn, declares the Lord, because you have done this and have not withheld your son, your only son, I will surely bless you, and I will surely multiply your offspring as the stars of heaven and as the sand that is on the seashore. And your offspring shall possess the gate of his enemies, and in your offspring shall all the nations of the earth be blessed, because you have obeyed my voice." So a very famous passage today, this passage of Abraham and Isaac and God's promise to Abraham that he's going to multiply his offspring to be as numerous as the stars in heaven and as the sand on the seashore. It's a pretty grand image, I think. If you imagine scooping up some sand in your hand and trying to count all the grains, you probably struggle to do that even with a handful of sand, much less with all the sand on all the seashores in the world. So this is a pretty impressive image. But really the point is, Abraham's offspring is going to be very numerous indeed. It's going to be beyond the counting. And of course God promises to the end of this passage that he's going to bless the nations through Abraham's offspring. So this idea of being the offspring of Abraham, being the children of Abraham, this was in the Old Covenant, this idea that the Jews had that we are the offspring of Abraham, we're the children of Abraham. And in its time, this was kind of a correct way of looking at things. Israel was a unique nation, although actually in the Old Testament people were able to join Israel. Like the example of Rahab, it'd be one example of that, where she's not an Israelite ethnically, but she becomes one and joins their people by worshipping God and choosing to side with him. But in any case, this idea of children of Abraham, this comes up. And by the time of the New Testament, by the time of Jesus, the children of Abraham idea is one that's being used to kind of exclude people and to have a kind of sense of superiority among the Jews and among the Pharisees particularly, where they would say, we're the kind of holy ones, we're the ones who are chosen by God, we are the children of Abraham. But of course, famously, John the Baptist turns this on them and he says, actually, God can make children for Abraham from these stones. He can make children for Abraham from these stones. And of course, I don't think John was saying that literally the stones around them were going to become children of Abraham. But the point is, God can raise up children of Abraham from anybody, from anywhere he wants. And so what does this have to do with Advent? What does this have to do with Jesus? Well, ultimately, the thing that Jesus does, one of the things that Jesus does in his death and resurrection, is he opens the way to become people of God for all the nations, for the Gentiles and the Jews and everybody in the world. Anybody can become part of God's family because of what Jesus did. And so, what greater blessing can there be? When God speaks of blessing the nations, this is the ultimate blessing that he can offer to anybody to become part of his family, to become a son or a daughter of God, an adopted child in his community. And so as we reflect on Advent this season, as we reflect on Jesus and his coming and his birth, let's just be thankful for the offering that we have, the gift that we have to become part of God's family, part of his covenant community, one of his children, and that Jesus calls us brothers and sisters, as it says in Hebrews chapter 2. He's not ashamed to call us brothers and sisters. What an amazing idea. So let's be thankful for that as we reflect on the birth of Christ this season.